Man,
Speaking of other things,
when companies sue stuff.
speaking of companies that are radioactive and sue stuff, do you remember we covered it almost seems like a season ago or something?
It was last season.
Apple is suing HTC over the Android operating system and touch interface patents and stuff like that.
Everyone is going after Android.
I know, dude, I know. And it's interesting, though, because some time has passed since we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like Apple's about to get into a major fight. HTC has filed a countersuit claiming, and I love this, their defense is that 4 of the patents are invalid, completely invalid. Apple can't even sue them for it because they have a failure to comply with one or more of the conditions for patentability set forth in the United States Patent Code, including but not limited to the utility of the patent, then it's either novelty or not novel. It has non-obvious or obvious things patented. I mean, all these different types of little I would say implications that what Apple is
patents
patenting
have to not be obvious.
And
is the deal.
I think what they're claiming is, hey guys, some of these patents are super obvious.
And
patents.
they were. I don't have the list in front of me of what some of those patents
They were like some of the basic, like slide to unlock.
Yeah, or it wasn't even just that stuff. They were talking about things like multitasking on a phone.
Yeah.
Apple, who literally does not allow multitasking on their phone. I don't care what people say. iOS 4 still does not offer actual multitasking. It offers pseudo kind of sort of multitask splitting, whatever. But they actually sued because they have a patent that says if you have a phone, you can't run more than one thing at a time on it. Seriously? Seriously.
Do you want to know
Apple, who just jumped in to the phone market after Windows Mobile, after all sorts of Linux-based phones, all of which have had multitasking.
I know, dude.
Palm OS had multitasking
I know, dude.
more than what Apple's offering right now. So not only does Apple patent obvious stuff that's like, oh man, that rock is gray. Oh, let's write a patent called Rock is Gray. And then sue everyone else who happens to have gray rocks.
Yeah.
Apple is doing that sort of stuff, and they're not even using it.
Well, HTC's calling them out on it.
It's ridiculous.
And it sounds like there's some other companies around the area that are kind of ready with their patents too to go after Apple. It's sort of a condensed consortium against Apple.
Yes.
Grokla has chimed in with their take on it, and they say this. You know how in the movies when two guys get into a fight on the street, you know, those epic, like, it's usually raining, right? I'm adding that commentary.
Yeah, it's usually raining.
Another guy will run into the bar and yell, "Fight!" And then everyone runs outside to watch. And this is Grokla saying this. I feel like that guy reading this filing because I can see HTC intends to fight back.
I like that. You know, I hate lawsuits. I hate that HTC is filing lawsuits. But you know what? You gotta play on their own turf. I mean, if that's what Apple wants to do, you gotta fight back.
Right. And somebody's just gotta get it done
hard.
And because Apple's not gonna stop, so somebody's just gotta get it. Just get it taken care of. HTC is one of the premier Android handset makers. Google's going to have their back. Motorola's got skin in this game. Nokia's got skin in this game too because Nokia is suing Apple from all these different angles.
Yep.
And now Apple's asked that some of these lawsuits be consolidated, but nobody's willing to pay for it.
Notice how like Motorola and Nokia and HTC and whatnot, for the most part, they've all been able to live together happily.
Yeah, I mean that usually is how the underdogs will work together until they're on top.
They're not the underdogs.
No, not really. No,
they have bigger market share than Apple does.
Yeah,
they make more money than Apple does for the most part.
It's a weird psychology.
Apple's is the playground bully. You know, he's the playground bully who's got a couple of friends, thinks he's the most friendly person in the world, thinks everyone loves him, and when he sees one kid who's smarter and better looking than him, he keeps trying to punch that kid. Well, people have to stand up and sucker punch that bully in the stomach until that bully is laying on the ground and choking on his own vomit. That's what we have to do with Apple right now because they are the jerk bully who has no skills, no talents, and no ability to ever hold anything better than a fast food job at Jack in the Box or Taco Bell. I am specifically saying Jack in the Box or Taco Bell, and I think you out there know why if you've been to either of them.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
Well, do you think that this is the beginning of the end for Apple's dominance? Do you think that these people are going to come together and just go after them and attack like crazy?
Apple is done. Apple is irrelevant already, other than everyone's pissed off at Apple.
Right.
Who likes Apple at this point?
Well, I mean, they're still selling an amazing amount of product, but there's always that general public delay. Like the geeks start to turn first, and then the rest of the public catches up. It's like, you know.
You know who also sells a ton of product?
I don't know.
Exxon. Do you love Exxon? Who goes around saying, you know who I love? Exxon. And has like an Exxon hat and an Exxon shirt and everything's branded Exxon
Well, but
and
those
the desktop
Apple stores-
wallpaper Exxon.
Those Apple stores are packed. Those Apple stores are packed, and those things are selling. They're selling.
But you know what? You know who they're selling to? Douchebags.
You know what they need to do?
I'm sorry, you guys. I know there's Mac users out there, and I don't mean to dog on you because, come on, I was a Mac user. For years, I developed Mac software. That was my niche. That was how I made my living. I get it. They do have benefits to using Macs. I'm not going to deny that. In fact, there are some distinct technological benefits that Macintoshes have.
Sure.
It's fine. That's fine. The problem is that Apple as a company is inherently bad, and they've hit a point where they've attacked everyone and stolen people's intellectual property and copied some of the great ideas people have had. And now they're actually out and out suing other people for making stuff before Apple. HTC has been making multitasking phones before Apple. Before Steve Jobs ever even came back to Apple, before Gil Amelio, well, not before Gil Amelio, but you know what I'm saying?
I hear you, yeah.
For so long.
Yeah.
And now Apple's is suing them for it? That is ridiculous. That'd be like,
That's
me designing a car right now and then being like, you know what? Ford makes cars.
I'm gonna sue
I'm
them.
going to sue Ford because I make cars.
I guess.
It's a jerk thing to do. Apple's bad. Apple's irrelevant. Android has bigger market share. Nokia has bigger market share with Symbian.
But okay, let's flip this around. Nokia.
cares?
Speaking of Nokia did sue Apple first, and some of the patents they're suing Apple over is like things that everyone violates, and they just chose to go after Apple, like the use of GSM.
Oh, yeah.
So isn't that just as bad?
You know, it's horrible. It is. It is totally just as bad, but I love it. And it's,
Okay,
and
all right.
I feel
Yeah.
guilty about it.
It's an underdog syndrome, right?
I'm not going to deny.
But like you were just saying,
I like seeing it, but it's like, here's the thing. I don't feel like if you're on the playground and you're a bunch of kids, you don't want to be the kid that goes around sucker punching people in the stomach.
Right.
You don't want to be that kid.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to. You know, if you get bullied, and come on, I can't be the only nerd out there who's had to deal with bullies on the school ground. I got the crud kicked out of me by some of those bullies. And you know what? That stopped when I stood up and I kicked them
So you're
in
saying
a particular spot,
it was
and
a
then they
defensive
stopped
maneuver.
beating up on me. Right.
Defensive.
Now, granted, and so have I hit a bully before? Absolutely. Have I hit a bully before the bully hit me, but I knew the bully was about to hit me? You betcha.
Yeah, okay.
And you
I
know
can see
what?
that.
It's justified.
all right. So
I
guess-
it's all about protecting yourself, being fair, and not being a jerk.
And I say great for HTC for taking this
Yeah.
step. HTC needed to. I was worried HTC was going to roll over. I really
was too.
And I think HTC needed to defend. They needed to put their flag in the ground and say, no, we've got something to defend here, because they really are making great products, and some of these patents are ridiculous. So I'm happy to see HTC doing that.
I am really happy. HTC does great work. They make good phones. They take risks. They try new design ideas.
Yeah.
They've done some great stuff. And,
Yeah.
and the great thing I love about HTC is they don't pigeonhole themselves onto a platform. Sure, I
Right.
want to see a lot more support of Linux. But you know what? As a phone company, as a tech company, I like the fact that they dabble in everything.
And yeah.
They'll even throw Windows Mobile on there a couple of times.
And I think they
They'll
were
try
even
it all. It's awesome.
I think they were even in talks to try to buy WebOS from Palm for a little while.
Yeah,
they were.
yeah.
So I mean, they're kind of a cool company to watch.
They just want to make a cool phone.
All right.
And I don't like people getting in their way.
Let's talk about.